was your thoughts on Working Moms?
I mean, I thought it was funny as usual. I mean, there were obviously some slow spots here and there, but overall, I thought it was still pretty funny.
Yeah. The way it started off was not the way it ended. Like the way it began made it seem like it was going to be a whole season dealing with the new cast member, the new stepson. That was going to be the way the whole season was going to be, trying to win this kid over. But it only took like 2 or 3 episodes to get into it. They don't really.
And actually, Kate did a better job of accepting
the son.
him. I mean, you thought it was going to be bad at first because she was really
when he was targeted,
not doing well with it. But then all of a sudden, she was doing better than her husband was, and it's his biological son.
It flipped. So the son was sent to their house, Nathan and what's her name, Kate's house, because his mom died, and it was her will that he be raised by the father he never knew, that he never knew he had, and told him all these weird, crazy stories about how awesome he was. It was for a one-night stand back before he even met his wife.
No, I think they did date.
Well, they were boyfriend and girlfriend, like before he met his current wife. And
but he never knew she was pregnant
and all that stuff. And he told all these crazy, wild stories and whatnot. Like mom made up all kinds of stories about the dad being like a superhero pilot, like all kinds of crazy stuff that was like, that just didn't make any sense. Like it was like, why would you need him to be such a larger than life type of person like that? It was just weird how that started off, and I thought that was going to be the dangerous thing when moving forward, because I thought, like, well, okay, what does that mean? Is he like, what is he going to do when he realizes that his dad is just a regular dude? I'm trying to find.
And then ends up Kate's the one fighting to ensure they keep him, because I mean the 2 friends, Kate and her best friend, actually.
Let me pull up the cast for
coming to realization.
Best friend Annie and
coming to realization about their attitudes, their personalities.
Yeah, it turned into a whole thing about that, which I was happy with, because I felt like since episode 1, the way that I understand, it's funny the way it's written. I like it and everything, but putting myself into it, one thing I can't help but I'm not gonna make this a whole. It's too woke kind of thing. I like the fact that it is like that, because it's written the way it's written on purpose. But you would think after 7 seasons that the husbands would develop, and I guess this was the season where they kind of did, or at least Lionel kind of developed the backbone a little bit more.
Yeah, it's taken 7 seasons for them to kind of actually say.
I think Nathan kind of.
Anne's been just kind of destroying her family since season 1.
I wouldn't put that whole thing. I felt like that was a conversation they should have had years ago, before their Alice was even a teenager. I mean, the way he was not afraid at first, not afraid to show his frustrations, his anger and stuff, and put her back in check. What seemed like a conversation they should have had years ago, but for Lionel and Alice to be like, I'd rather talk to this crazy person who put me in danger, because that was easier than talking to you.
Well, and her husband flat out told her, she was like, well, I'm sure you're so happy to be back with us and not living hours away. And he's like, to be honest with you, I was happy there. It was the first time I've been happy in a long time, because it was peace.
I'm sorry that would mean, and I guess it's hard to not put yourself into it, because I would have had that conversation if I felt that way. I wouldn't have been afraid to say that. If I'd have realized that on day 1 or day 2 or day 3 or whatever, I would have probably said that over the phone before I even came back home. I don't know what's going like for them not to, for her to be such a toxic, and she was like that since the first. I noticed that from day 1, how the Kate and the Anne characters, they encouraged their bad behavior. Why it took so long for them to? Why it took till season 7 for them to acknowledge it?
We had some realizations come with several. I mean,
they would say things that would hurt each other's marriages and encourage it.
The stuck-up friend, who's not really their friend, but
Jenny.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even on herself, after hearing all the terrible things that they were saying behind her back because none of them like her, she was actually kind of able to see, like, I'm actually not a very nice person, and I need to do something.
There was a lot of self-reflecting.
Wow.
That's one thing that I was happy about, and everybody finally did some self-reflecting. But it seemed like, I'm sorry, a lot of these, the only casualties it seemed like in this whole story was the Frankie character, her and her marriage with her wife. Where they kind of separated for a long time. They divorced, didn't they?
Yeah, in another season.
That was the only. I don't know how the Lionel and Ann marriage has even gone past the first year. Because what did he say? Like, my fiery personality used to be what you loved about me. But there's
like, they got old after a while. It's the same thing.
You gotta grow.
Yeah.
Like somebody, I forgot who said it was like every 5 years, people should be going into new stages in their lives like almost every 5 years. After 18, you can't be the same person. You can't be the same person after 23 that you were when you were 18, and then when you're 25, or then when you're 30, and 35, and 40. You got to be a little bit more.
And
better.
Kate told her when Anne took her out to like party, like they did when they were 18. She was like, we're not 18. This isn't fun. I don't want to do this.
Yeah. And it was like that need to hold on to that. Like, why? Just the fact that it took the Kate and Ann characters that long to figure it out. And they're constantly, the way they, this is a show that is targeted towards, like the more modern families, the more modern women, or modern less traditional types of marriages and whatnot. Honestly, these characters act like this is a show for single people. I don't see a marriage in these in any of these.
I know, and then we laughed about, because I all this time did not realize that Kate and Nathan, obviously that's not their real names, are married in real life.
In real life,
and
yeah.
We're like, they don't really have a very
Philip Steinberg and Catherine Reitman, yeah.
They don't have a chemistry on screen.
Well, I heard that real couples don't have hard to have good chemistry on screen. Maybe it's about the fact that when people that aren't couples, maybe that's why that's better chemistry, because there's no I don't know, maybe they're
so used to each other that it just doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah, well, there's no
come
pressure
across on the.
That nerve. So, because sometimes when you're dating someone new and stuff, sometimes that newness brings out a passion. Maybe that's it. And maybe that's the thing about strangers doing that. But when you know each other, you're so comfortable. You're self-conscious. Or is this how we look when we're kissing at home and when nobody? But I'm sure there's couples that can get up. But I feel like they did a decent job, because we didn't even know.
I had no idea.
It just seemed like
it's 7 seasons, and I didn't realize that they were really married.
That they were married for real. But I feel like I don't know. It's just, I feel like this show, even though I love the way it's written, I love the way it's going, I just felt like it should not have taken 7 seasons for them to finally reach this level. Now I wouldn't be surprised if next year that big cliffhanger. When the Anne character was going through a bunch of anger management and trying to work on her, and she wasn't really working on her anger. I feel like now she will, because at the end of it, she got she's trying to jump up. She got hit by okay. So there was a patient. There was a big rivalry. Once again, it felt like there was going to be a better mom and daughter relationship with Anne and Alice.
For a brief moment,
it was perfect. But the second Alice showed maturity in something that she seemed to be good at, which was the same. Ironically, it makes sense, because Alice is pretty much a younger version of Anne, and I think Anne just can't handle competition. She turned out she was good at what Anne does,
therapy,
being a therapist.
They related to her actually a little bit better than her.
Yeah, her
mother.
patients liked her more. But I saw Anne was correct, being not upset, but being concerned that her daughter was talking to her patients. On a professional level and maturity level, she was correct. But the reasons that she was going after Alice was just pure jealousy.
Yeah.
So she was correct in what her concerns were about, but her real intent was just being jealous that, why do people like my daughter more than, and my daughter's a nightmare. Why is she better at this? Because you're not a people person. You're not. Why are you a therapist is the question. But then in the end, when one of the patients turned out to be a super stalker and wanted a teenager's girl's time
following her to her house,
following her to school,
everywhere,
trying to pretty much kidnapping her, forcing her away from her friends into a car, and even those terrifying moments to Alice were better than talking to her own mom until Anne had to step in and
use her unbridled anger
to save her daughter and put that woman back in place. And then that patient comes back. Now, me and Joy heard two different things. I believe that while Anne was taking a jog, she was jogging. She said she was in a conversation with Kate in the end after working out her anger and everything.
They hadn't spoken to each other in
quite
a while.
They agreed to take a break from each other to work on themselves and probably in their marriages. I think that patient came back and ran her over. You thought you heard a bang, right?
I think maybe just because here in America everyone is gun crazy. I just assumed
exactly. I was going to say that.
She was going to shoot her.
Unless she crossed the border and snuck a gun. I mean, you can get a gun in Canada, but I heard it's harder. But I would think it would just be easier just for her to run her over. I think she just ran her over because she was screaming, no, no, no. So that was the big cliffhanger. They're both working on each other's stuff, and that was the big cliffhanger for the Anne character. Now, the big cliffhanger that was going for the everything that was going on with the Kate character, we started off talking about the foster son, trying to work out being a stepmom. At first it was hard for her, then it became easier, then it became hard for Nathan, then it looked like he was getting better.
And now they're kind of in a battle with the aunt because she wants...
That situation was, and you kept bringing up a good point that Kate also brought up because her mother instincts kicked in and she started to fall in love with Nate Jr.
It's like if she wanted her to be with her sister, she would have
said it specifically.
She would have never even brought it up.
Why is it that it's better for my son? Well, for one, it's better for the son to be with the father anyway because that's his father. I mean,
but the thing is, nobody knew that but the mom, so she didn't even have to mention it.
Was she dying? Did she just die, or was she?
I don't even
she
know
was
if
dying.
they said.
I forgot if they said it at all. I think maybe she was dying, maybe, or maybe she just up and died. But it's interesting that she knows her sister, so for some reason, it's better. And I mentioned that too. I said, before we get married, if anything would happen, if anything would have happened to me, technically my brother would be, before we get married, my brother would be the next of kin. I wouldn't want the kids to go to my brother, and there's specific reasons why. Not that he's a bad guy, it's just that he's not going to be good for raising kids. I'm pretty sure that if he had to, he could rise to the occasion. But there's better options out there. So what was it that? And then we started to see a little bit.
She's
not crazy. She's just out there.
Seems to be like a gyp. She travels. She goes all over the place.
That free spirit.
Yes.
Shit. That's obviously not what her sister wanted.
And then we also don't really know the extent that we discovered the son is gay. Mm-hmm. So
I'm sure she would be okay with that.
But nothing had ever been mentioned. Like, Kate found out and was kind of like, you need to let people know who you are.
Yeah. That wasn't really reconciled, was it? I mean, he didn't come out to his dad or anything like that, did he? I don't think he did.
No, he did to the dad.
Did he? Okay.
Because then they had the whole prom and the...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. They went to the prom. But and it seemed like they finally, looked like they were getting it. But I still feel like it might be a problem moving forward. Like we got to find out. And then for a while, Kate was being haunted by the mom for a second there too.
Sloane had her baby, got with the ultrasound guy, but we haven't really gotten to see yet how is she going to handle mom and work. We got a tiny taste. She started working from her hospital bed, but
she seemed like she finally started to open up to the doctor, the new boyfriend, and everything. And at first I didn't know how to feel. I know the actress Inuka Okuma. I liked her. She's been in other shows. I think there was a show called Rookie Blue. I think she was in another Canadian show. I didn't know if I liked her in this until the very end when I liked her as Kate's boss and all that, and messing with her a little bit, and then the story about her not being able to raise her daughter and giving her daughter to her sister. That was interesting, but then this season I was like, I don't know how I feel. And then at the very end when she had the baby and then she met that the doctor or the nurse, whatever he is.
So he was an ultrasound guy, but yeah. I mean.
It seemed like now I'm interested in where her character is going to go.
And then we still got Val, who's just such an off the wall.
Oh yeah, Val was just, they didn't have as much Val. But
the Val we got was.
I feel like next season should be Val heavy because
she got
the little, like you were about to say, the little that we got of her, she stole it. That's what her character is designed to do. But she did it way better. It's probably because it was so little of her.
The big one birthday. They kept saying the big what? Like wanting to know how old she was. She goes, "It's the big one." They're
the haunted house thing. That episode. I mean, Val was in rare form this time. There can be a whole series on that character. If there's ever a spinoff, it needs to be on Val. She is the funniest character, and she delivers. The Jenny character, I don't know. She's still, to me, not that interesting. But her finally realizing that she's not a good person and not... Because at first she seemed like a person that was like... She knew she was a bad person and she was really okay with it. And for 7 years, it seemed like that's what she was about. Now it's finally looking like, no, she doesn't like to be looked at that way. So that's cool. Everybody's grown. That's cool. So I enjoyed it. I'm excited about when... let's look it up. What's season...
it's in Canada, 8? And they tend to come out ahead of us before they release it on Netflix.
Before we get it here at the house. I mean, if we're here in the States. I'm going now. Netflix. I'm a part of the media program. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to try. It's been harder and harder to get Netflix to approve me of for a pre-screening or a press screening, but I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to get that out the way. But while you're looking up season 8, let's see when we can find out when that's hopefully about to come out. They probably haven't announced it yet. But that's our thoughts. That's the whole recap of the season. When I know we were kind of, back and forth between characters and probably going out of order of what's happening. But overall, this was one of my favorite seasons. I liked the storyline with the arch villain this time. There were so many villains in this season, but the mom and pop, like the woman that made the cleaning products, the pyramid scheme lady. Remember her?
Oh, Goldie.
That Goldie. That was a good storyline that pretty much arced throughout the whole 9 episodes, 12 episodes. That Goldie pyramid scheme, taking down that pyramid scheme story part of it was the funniest arc that they've done, and I had fun with that one. I hope she comes back. But news on estimate,
because actually we just watched season 6. Season 7 is the one that's.
Oh, this is season 6 that we saw. Season 7 is coming up.
They are about to start filming this month.
So maybe it'll be a year. It'll probably be
early next
June,
year,
spring to June, spring to summer of 2023.